Growing up on a farm in Nelspruit, Liam moved to Cape Town to study industrial design. Now a successful furniture designer and interior expert, he welcomed us into his apartment for a refreshing take on style.
Hi, Liam.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you.
Come on in.
It's so good to be here.
You're welcome.
When most people think of apartment living, they think of small, tight spaces, but this is nothing like that.
That was one of the criteria for when I moved in, is I wasn't looking for the traditional apartment that had built-in cupboards and a built-in kitchen. I was really looking for a shell that I could put my design into. When I moved in, there was, a series of kind of pokey rooms with drywall. And so one of the first things that I did is I broke open a lot of the drywall to kind of create flow between the spaces. Because there was no kitchen, what I was really looking to do is to have kind of an assemblage of counters and stainless steel and appliances, and to have a little bit more of an industrial feel.
Part of this approach is to have pots, pans, crockery and ingredients on show, and not to play safe with decor choices.
Liam, you're an interior expert. How did you approach the design of your own home?
Well, as I do with most of my clients, one of the first things that you have to create is zones of activity. And especially in a home that has a kind of open plan feeling to it, it's important to kind of delineate what's the study and what's the sitting area and what's the dining area, just so that the space feels like it has very clear, defined uses. Then from there, what I like to do, because it's my own home, I wasn't really bound too much by the rules of what other people want. And so I really got to indulge kind of my love of pattern, my love of color, and I've tried to bring that in as much as possible. That all being said, the design changes, I would say, once a month, just because I'm constantly experimenting with new ideas and new ways of doing things, and then taking that into my work.
Looking around, it's obvious that you have quite the chair collection.
Yes, so I live a lot with my own prototypes of chairs that I'm developing for the showroom, but I also enjoy collecting chairs, and so I've got an assortment of kind of special designer chairs, mid-century chairs that were done by famous designers, but I generally try and not let that stop me, and if a chair is beautiful and it's no name and it's on the side of the road, then I'll collect that as well. For me, it's not so much about who did it, but about the beauty and the quality of the chair.
I like the fact that instead of choosing one or two pieces, you've covered the entire wall with art.
Well, gallery walls are very kind of trendy at the moment, but for me it was more of a practical thing because I have too much art and not enough wall space, so you really have to try and kind of put as much onto the wall as possible. What I did with that wall over there is I tried to pull all the black and white pieces together, and I think it's quite fun and quite an energizing way to display art.
I know it's hard to choose one favorite, but what are some of your standout pieces?
This charcoal over here was done by my cousin, who was 17 years old at the time, and I've had some pretty big-time artists come over for dinner or drinks, and they kind of all gravitate towards that piece and all ask, like, who's it by, who's it by? And they're always surprised that it was done by, like, a standard 9 girl. The great thing about having artists in the family is that you get free art. Not always, though. And I have that wonderful piece by my sister over there. It's a gouache and watercolor, and it's just really kind of indicative of where she is at the moment in terms of her style and her progression as an artist. And so it's really special to me, and I'm going to cherish that piece for a long time.
By displaying it artfully, Liam enjoys the strange beauty in unusual furniture. He suggests a neutral palette as a backdrop, but color has its place.
It's great how you've created a garden atmosphere on your balcony.
It is pretty wonderful, and it was something that's very important to me. The first thing that we did is we laid AstroTurf just to bring in a little bit of softness and green onto the concrete, and then pots with indigenous grasses. But I think the best thing is when this tree comes into bloom in spring. It just makes the entire street feel very lush and tropical.
Apart from your home, what other projects are you proud of?
Well, I'm proud of all projects, but for different reasons. I just opened a showroom of furniture and product designs next to my office, and I display a lot of the furniture that we design with lighting and homeware that we create with local artisans, and it's a really beautiful space showcasing kind of great South African design.
And the best part is it's just a few meters away from your home.
If you're after decor pieces and an education in how color, shape, pattern and texture go together, this is for you.
So we have an assortment of furniture that I designed and is part of my signature range. But then I like to mix things up with vintage pieces that we refurbish with new fabrics. And then what I like to do very much is I like to support young designers and artists and photographers like Chris Rousseau, who's taken all the pictures in this exhibition. We have Liani van der Veever, who did the tea set over there. And so the space is about good design, it's about interesting work, it's about more unusual work that you've never really seen before. And that's kind of like the driving factor behind the space.
And what does the future hold for Liam Mooney?
We're going to concentrate a lot more of events, so book signings, wine tastings, coffee tastings, and dinner parties. We're going to be making the store more of an experiential space. I'm going to be developing the furniture range further and adding more pieces to that. And then we're doing more interiors. So I do a lot of things, and I like to keep things interesting.
Moving local design forward and developing talent as he goes. It's the Mooney way.